My hag of a stepmom gave away my PlayStation 4 while I was away in college. So I rent out her house while she was on her honeymoon with her newest husband. I have been reading lots of Reddit lately, especially entitled Parents, but made a new account when I came across this page. I never thought I'd actually try to contribute something. Until now, Reddit has just been my guilty morning coffee read. So here goes. I'm an only son. My mom died of ovarian cancer at only 55 5 years ago. It broke my dad's heart. They had been together since college and were the same age, with my dad being a month older. I'm 22 and am about to graduate college with my degree in chemistry when the main events start to occur. I went to college on a full-ride scholarship. This is important later. My dad met my now stepmom when she was my mom's nurse at the hospital where she spent her final days. My stepmom Grace played all the right notes to gain my dad's trust. She was empathetic to him, nurturing, comforting after my mom passed. I was 17 and old enough to sense that she was just trying to weasel her way into getting my dad's resources, but it was up to my dad if he wanted to be in a relationship with her. I was in my final year of public school and had just won a scholarship to attend college out of the country the following year. My dad mourned my mom for a year, and that whole time Grace would check in on him by phone every month or so, in my opinion, to scope out the possibility of sinking her hooks in him. After a year passed, Grace took the gloves off and went hard after my dad. Grace was only 40 when she and my dad started seeing each other. I didn't like her, but at the same time my dad at least didn't seem so depressed anymore, so I tried to be less pessimistic about her and give her the benefit of the doubt. In my gut I didn't trust her, though. But we are Scandinavian, and at least in my family the son does not tell his father what to do or even offer any opinion. Grace is from the Czech Republic, if you're wondering. My father was a very successful banker during his career and amassed quite a portfolio of wealth. I'll spare you the details, but after 6 months of dating, Grace and my father are married. My dad never really got over my mom though, and he was getting weaker and weaker even though he was only 57. Since his health was fading, he called me to him and asked me point blank, "Boy, what do you need to set you up in this life?" I told him I don't need anything, I'm a man and can take care of myself, but what are you even talking about, Dad? You're going to be around for decades yet. I did remind him that he had living sisters with children, my aunts and cousins. I also reminded him that I had a full scholarship to college, so don't worry about giving me any cash. He was dead only a year later at 59. I of course have seen lots of Hollywood movies, so I consider the conspiracy theory that maybe my dad's nurse wife poisoned him and made him sign over all his money to her, but I really honestly do not think that's what happened. Other relatives didn't like Grace either, but they knew my dad was totally in love with my mom and that her death utterly broke him. Well, long story short, my dad bequeathed his 5-bedroom house to me even though I wasn't expecting it and didn't ask for it. He gave a small endowment to each of his sisters and their children. He left about 80% of all his existing money to Grace, which amounted to several hundreds of thousands of dollars. My dad ignored me because he's generous to a fault and still gave me several tens of thousands of dollars, which were of course very useful to me. Grace tried to put on a friendly front, but I could tell she was angry as hell that she didn't get my dad's house, too. That belonged to me, and I had the legal papers to prove it. She was especially mad because we live in an extremely upscale and trendy location, and houses are hard to come by and easily sold for massive profit. During the first few months after my dad's death, I had the nauseating, creepy experience of knowing that Grace was trying to feel me out to see if I might be into a little relationship with her. Gross. She still stayed at the house though, because over the last 3 years she had gotten used to living there and acting like she owned it. And, even though I officially owned it, I was always away at college and only visited my dad's old house once every couple of months, and even then it wasn't to see Grace, but to see my cousins who lived just a few miles away. I downplayed the fact that it was really my house, and over the months I think Grace gradually forgot that she really had no legal right to the house. She probably believed that sooner or later, because I never asked her for any of the hundreds of thousands of my dad's dollars that she now had, that I was somehow independently wealthy and would just give up my house to her. I knew I'd eventually hydrogen bomb this B*TCH when she started dating some new guy only 5 months after my dad was in the ground, and one time when I came home from college after graduating, she and her new boyfriend, some sleazy looking D-bag named Ivan who was only a few years older than me, were acting like I was a guest in my own house and that they owned it. I played along. Grace told me she gave away my PlayStation 4 to Ivan's cousin because I'm too old to play with video games. I don't even know this mother of Kerr, and you give him my PS4 to give away to some other sh*t who I also don't know? I quickly changed all my network passwords that same day. I smiled, but I knew what I had to do eventually. She also said that she and Ivan were getting married because I just can't mourn your father forever. I have to move on with life. I tell her that I graduated college and already secured employment with a local firm and will soon find a new place to live. She looks thrilled. Especially the part where it looks like I'll soon have a new place to live. Then in a patronizing way she tells me, "You always have a place in our house though, you are welcome to stay whenever you please." Thanks, Grace, really generous of you. What I really say is that I will probably have a new place in 3 months. She says that is wonderful because she intends to go to her homeland to have a wedding with Ivan and afterward have her honeymoon. She assures me it's a local affair, otherwise I'd invite you, honey. And anyway, I know you're so busy. I congratulate her. She asks me if I can watch the house for her. Watch my own house? Sure. What I really say is, of course I will take care of the house. I am careful to not say your house. She and her D-bag fiancé, who I am 100% sure is only there for Grace's money, go on their trip, and I immediately put out advertisements in rental websites offering to lease my house. I hire movers and have all of Grace's furniture and possessions boxed up and put into a storage rental facility. I retain all of my parents' furniture that they had before my dad met Grace. Locks? Changed. All of them. Within days, I am inundated with dozens of inquiries regarding my amazing, furnished house with fantastic views. I rent it to a wonderful young family. A barrister and his schoolteacher wife and their 2 preteen children. They pay me their first and last month's rent and sign a lease for a year. I warn them about my crazy stepmom who thinks this is her house, but I present them with contact information to my lawyer, the same lawyer my dad retained, in case they need any assurance that I'm on the level. I also give my lawyer the information about the storage facility, including the fact that I generously paid 4 months of storage in advance, which is a whole month longer than Grace's Czech honeymoon adventure. I then found a great apartment in the city near my new place of work. There I met a woman in a restaurant I frequent at night after a long workday. We have been dating 6 months now and are engaged to be married. Grace, of course, tried to shriek and cause trouble when she realized she got kicked out of my house, but my lawyer quickly shut her mouth without my having to ever speak to her garbage face again. From what I hear, her and her trash husband left the country, and I assume they're blowing through my dad's money and will soon be broke like chavs usually become when they taste a little bit of what they think is the good life. So maybe Grace will go and try to exploit some other lonely man into giving her his money. Speaking of money, the house that I rent out is generating so much money that I not only am able to help pay for my cousin's college, but I moved into a larger apartment of my own, together with my fiancé. I love my job, but really, I could survive solely on renting my dad's old house. And to think, if Grace had only been cooler and nicer, I might have let her stay at the house, just to be a good sport. And definitely if she stayed the hell out of my room. But no, she had to act all proprietary, so I had to make her homeless as a wedding gift. Postscript. I bought another PS4, even though I didn't even use my old one that much. It didn't matter. It wasn't for Grace to give away. You don't give away other people's things. You give away your own things. Which is why I chose to kick Grace out of my house. Because it's mine, and I decide who stays there. Police showed up at home with just my sister's jumper and shoes. What should we do with her? Throw away for obvious reasons. Trying to keep this somewhat short by focusing on the 2 craziest occasions and sparing you the details of all the drama in between. Background. We've always been a close family, mom, dad, sister, and I. We were well loved as kids, i.e. sent to good schools, got taken on hauls, spent time and gave us lots of attention, etc. We were raised to never speak down to elders and never swore. It was all happy days. Even during COVID, when a lot of people struggled living with others, there were no arguments under our roof. We would spend family time together almost every day, be it going on bike rides, playing board games, having cooking competitions, etc. It was bliss and felt like I'd won the family lottery. Fast forward to last year. I moved out and my sister is grappling with anorexia. She is on off with therapists at the ED clinic and has a dangerous relationship with alcohol. She is otherwise pretty highly functioning, held down a good job, plays sport to a decent level and is generally well loved in our local community and wider family circle too. But she seems to be on a very steep decline. Her relationship with our dad is now non-existent after she consistently yells at him and admits she doesn't respect him. She can't speak to me or mom without getting angry and saying hurtful things, stupid evil b******* to mom, and don't call me sister, to me, spring to mind. She also got into a new relationship last year and started staying out at his plenty, coming back just to get new clothes every couple of days. Occasion 1. One Sunday a couple of months ago at 10 p.m., he calls mom begging/virtually crying for help because she's gone psycho but wouldn't give the location despite asking multiple times. An hour later, 2 police cars rock up home with her jumper and shoes, ask if it's hers. Mom is literally shaking and the police use mom's phone to contact her. On that call she's literally telling the police to tell her dad to fuck off and my mom is a effing b****** and telling the police to f*** off too, and that she's fine. The police tell my parents they're sending 3 teams out to search for the pair of them. Long story short, no word until I called her the next morning at 9:30 a.m. after not having spoken for 3 months. She miraculously picks up and gives me his address, so I race over and find her there alone, shaking, fully bruised all over and missing 2 front teeth. He's apparently been held in a cell overnight on suspicion of DV with multiple witnesses. She's fully shaking, can't remember anything and refuses to believe he's done anything. It took me everything to convince her to get out of there and come home. He ends up getting released after witnesses dropped their charges and they stayed in a relationship. Her memory later magically came back in very select parts, and she claims he didn't do anything, despite there being witnesses, other than restraining her from jumping in front of a car. I found this hard to believe at the time. In the months since, she has been sacked from her high-flying job, his mom has died of terminal illness, and our mom has been diagnosed with a serious potentially terminal illness. She rarely comes home even despite mom's diagnosis, and when she does, it's only ever during the day whilst he is at work. She literally vegetates on the sofa with zero energy, picks arguments with mom, e.g. says the sight of mom makes her angry because she's ill, collects fresher clothes / does her laundry and leaves. Occasion 2. Fast forward to this weekend gone, she calls mom at 3 a.m. crying, 3rd time in as many weeks, but this time asks to be picked up. I'm luckily staying over at mom's for the night, so I start driving and she calls to say she's jumped in an Uber. Get home, and she's clearly heavily intoxicated, legit screaming my ing phone, borrows mom's phone to call her boyfriend and proceeds to tell him how she'd rather be at his. Mom is livid at this whole situation, takes her phone back and all hell breaks loose. Sister attempts to hit mom multiple times, so I'm trying to restrain her. She screams, kicks, and shouts at the top of her lungs anything from "don't touch me" to "stop sexually harassing me" and "you're hurting me," then tries to climb out her bedroom window. I manage to restrain her in my arms and she half breaks down crying, half continues screaming and telling me she doesn't want to be here anymore. I call the ambulance and long story short, she admits being suicidal to the paramedics, who convince her to come to hospital. There she again says hateful things and name calls me loudly. Other patients are looking on in shock and tries to pull the catheter out to leave multiple times. I restrain her and try convince her how the mental health team will be able to help. Her only response is that to make clear she'll lie to the doctors and claim she isn't suicidal, she made it all up for attention and she's fine for fear of being sectioned. Eventually, the doc shows up and she tells him she feels disturbed and unsettled in my presence and to remove me from the hospital. So the doc asks me to leave, and then, when the doc had finished speaking with her, she starts softly calling for me and saying she wants me. I had obviously left at this point. She tried to leave a few more times, which the doctors denied until the mental health team spoke to her. After that, she was discharged and asked the docs to call her boyfriend to pick her up, lost phone, and has been staying at his since, albeit asked to come home, which mom has refused until we all sit in a room and talk, family plus her boyfriend, which is due to happen this weekend. TLDR, sister has been very unstable. Police rocked up home one night with just her jumper and shoes, and when they finally got hold of her, she swore multiple times at them about her family. We are a decent family and were raised to never swear. I find her next morning bruised all over with missing teeth. Fast forward to last weekend and she comes home at 4 a.m. drunk, tries to hit mom and tries to jump out her window. Ends up in hospital where she had me physically removed and has been with boyfriend since. I have tried to keep my perspective out of the above, but honestly I can't describe my emotions. It ranges from anger, hurt, sadness, frustration, everything really, but above all I am exhausted and all consumed in worry for both her and my mom's health. Not to mention all this is emotionally affecting my mom every single day, so it's a vicious cycle of worry and anxiety. I guess I'm posting here to look for advice on a myriad of things. What should I say to her this weekend? What do you all think might be going on with her? What can I do to be supportive as a sister?